What's up, y'all? It's your girl, Rene, with Riot Radio. I hope that you're doing well. This afternoon, we got Brother Darrell back. Today, we're going to be talking about PTSD. That's something that many of you might can relate to or have heard about before. It's different ways to get PTSD, so we're just going to chop it up and talk about it and see where it takes us. Hello?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, what's up, bro? Thanks for coming back. You know, one day at a time. So we were talking about PTSD briefly. We're going to go more in depth about it. And you were saying that, you know, it's a lot of people that probably can relate. It's different forms of PTSD and different things that can bring it about. So what are your experiences when it comes to PTSD?
I actually didn't even know I had PTSD till within a few years ago, and it's a book that I was reading called The Mind and Body Keeps the Score, and I've actually seen in the papers and magazines that it's a national bestseller too, and it really opens up your mind. And we all know that, you know, PTSD involves the thought process and emotions, you know, that's somewhat abnormal from your usual self, and we know that it could come from many things. And mine happened to be, you know, abuse, chronic abuse, as you would say. It also comes from, you know, coming through two different households, with my pop staying in the suburbs and my mom staying in the projects. So, you know, you're in between two different areas of life with different sets of rules. So I guess it played a major part in me to where some of these traumatic events, in particular, it played a part, like even with my incarceration. And, you know, my dad, I told you, he was real strict in his ways of punishment at times. And, you know, mine consisted of as well of being locked in the room, you know, on days that I didn't go to school. You know, sometimes I had to keep my room. You know, I wasn't allowed to take a shower. You know, or if I was going to school, when I went to school, came back, it was back in the room. So now, being incarcerated, it's like every day that I wake up, it's like I've never escaped that childhood. So it's a constant trigger over and over and over again. And I think that's where people get into these abnormal emotional outbursts and don't understand why, because they don't understand the trigger. So
yeah, you know what? I'm right there with you. I think that a lot of our PTSD starts when we're children, depending on what's going on, right? And like I was officially diagnosed with PTSD maybe 12 years ago, and this came from my experiences in the military. But it actually, I had PTSD from when I was a child. Let me give you an example. When I used to lose items, right, lose anything, it could be something real petty. It was extreme abuse that came as a result of that, right, from who I was raised by. So as I grew up into an adult, every time I would lose things, I would have a panic attack. And I never knew where that came from. I just knew that if I lost something, the panic attack was going to come. Long story short, I realized that panic attack was came from my experiences as a child when I lost things. And once I got to the bottom of that, I was able to get to the point where I don't have panic attacks anymore. You know what I mean? So I'm definitely with you when it comes to the things when we're children and how they can affect us in our adult life, and we don't even realize, you know, where it's coming from.
yes, definitely. And it's another one that I honestly don't. I think more people are ignorant to it, because I was just ignorant until I started doing my study. But I've come to find out that one of the biggest causes, one of the biggest triggers to anybody with PTSD really is oppression.
Yes.
You know, when people hear the word oppression, the first thing comes to their mind is white versus black.
Right.
You know, in the sense of racism. But oppression goes deeper than what we actually really understand. It's like I was reading an article, and her name is D.W. Sue, and she was breaking down oppression, and she actually said, if you think about it, oppression has two P's in it, and those P's stand for power and privilege. So we know that whenever power or privilege plays a role, and somebody's superior and somebody's inferior, it plays a major part in taking you out of your own comfort zone.
I agree.
So,
I agree.
yeah, and oppression comes in so many ways, especially as children. I mean, we might not look at it as being oppressed, but somebody telling us how to live other than what we know how to live and controlling our every move, it's in a sense, it may not be oppression, but it is.
Yeah,
So,
and then depending on what's going on, add a little bit of abuse in there, and you got a recipe for disaster for sure. I can definitely say that when I was growing up, I was oppressed. Yeah, most definitely. Just the way that things was going down, you know what I mean? I think that's what makes me how I am with children now. I try my best not to be that type of oppressive person. And I used to always give my little sister options, like if I wanted her to say, go upstairs for me, for no reason other than I was being lazy, and she might be playing or something, I'd be like, hey, go upstairs and grab this. And it was that pause, like, what you mean, And I would tell her sometimes, like, you can say no if you want to say no. And she'd be like, no. And I would get up and go get it myself. You know what I mean? But for real though, and I think that helped her, gave her the ability as she grew into an adult to be able to say no, because I never really had the opportunity to say no as a child, and it came into my adulthood for a while to where I had the inability to tell people no.
Yeah. And I heard you say so what form of the military were you in? I did hear you mention that.
I was in the Army.
Okay, my pops, he was in the Marine Corps, so even at that's a route that I was gonna take. But I guess me looking at it, if I did it, it was just more so to please my father, not myself. And even looking at that now, and being here, being incarcerated, you have quite a few guys who have been in the service, and they're in here, for defending themselves, or even at that by them going outside of their mind and just talking to them and hearing about the things that they have witnessed with going overseas to war, and even hearing my pops talk about it. That PTSD, and then we ask ourselves, okay, and I asked them this exact question, can you really say that the military was what brought on your PTSD, or did it just make it worse? So, it's really looking at what did you go through as a child, was it really strict discipline? And people don't even realize it doesn't even take physical abuse or sexual abuse to raise that. Emotional abuse, being rejected and neglected, can cause extreme PTSD.
Yes, and borderline personality disorder. Mental health is real, and that's why I always try to express to people to be mindful of how you handling your kids, man. It can have long-lasting effects.
And I think, and I might be using a medical term that might blow past people's mind, but, and this is really the front of basically your forehead area. In medical terms, it's the prefrontal cortex. And people don't realize, damage to that, that's where your thought process is, your judgment calls, where your emotions is at, all these different things. So, damage, especially with abuse, where you're constantly hitting somebody in the head, or even you might not be going through physical abuse at home, it may be from sports.
Right.
All of this plays a role to where that contact comes, it raises. But I think the main thing I would like for people to recognize is triggers. And what do I mean by that? If you notice that certain things get you angry, stop right then and ask yourself, why am I angry about this?
Right.
Because 9 times out of 10, once you begin to investigate it, it's going to go all the way back to the beginning where an incident, when you probably were 3 or 4, is where this is stemming from. And this is how you overcome it. Because, I'll be honest with you, it hurts me every time I look at the news, every time I read the newspaper, and you see somebody taking their life because they can't deal with the world. And a lot of times, it's a lot of these different borderline person disorder or schizophrenic, and a lot of times that's not it. It's simple PTSD. Something is triggering. So,
yeah, I agree with you 100% there, man. I think that it's an awesome thing that more and more black circles are talking about mental health. I know once upon a time, mental health care in the black community was a big stigma, you know what I mean? And I think that was a great injustice for us. But more people are talking about it. More people are going to therapy, trying to get to the root of their problems. What do you think about that? Have you seen a change yourself, or what have you seen when it comes to the black community and behavioral health?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I think we need more black people as in general in the realm of therapy and in the workforce of therapy. And why I say that is, me being in prison and actually taking because in the streets I probably might not have went through therapy. But being in here and you notice the people that they're sending you to see, and the first thing that comes through my mind is there's no way they know what I went through. If they are speaking to me about anything, it may be something that they read in a book or probably from another counseling session that they had somebody else, so they're putting two and two together. I think we need to educate ourselves more and get into these positions so that we can help each other, because it's nothing like relating with somebody, and even in here you have a lot of people that I relate to because I know the struggle, I know the suffer, I know what it means to not have and go through poverty, I know what it means to be abused, I know what it means to be rejected and neglected and all these different things, and to be the outsider at times. So if you know that you have somebody that's counseling you, as we can, for a better word, use of words, and know that they can relate and they know what they're talking about, I think this will help a lot more. By us going to people that knows nothing of our struggle, we're not getting any help at all. And this is why there's so much of a rise in medication use and medication abuse. Because that's the first thing that comes to their mind. Well, how about take this? This is the problem. And that's not it. Maybe sometimes
you have 60 seconds remaining.
And somebody knowing.
Yeah. You're right. All the solutions ain't found in the bottom of a pill bottle. That's for sure. That's for sure. Well, this is definitely a part one. Talking about PTSD and behavioral health definitely is a conversation that could last for a long, long time, if not forever. Before we cut off, is there anything you want to leave the listeners with?
No, just everybody.
You have 30 seconds remaining.
Continue to support me on Facebook, Darrell Lavine on Facebook. The family, I love you. Like I said, I'm here for the voiceless. These are things that we need to speak on. And mental health is at an all-time high. I'm here to support as best as I can, man. I love y'all.
Yep, that's Kim, bro. Till next time.